there, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, dogs and cats, frogs and rats, and everything in between. My name, as I'm sure you all know, is Genosad, and today I'm joined with a migrant who has decided to keep himself anonymous, save for his migrant number, 3197. So how are you?
Oh, I'm doing great. Jado, how are you?
I can't complain. Here to just talk about, just have a normal conversation with a normal person. That's the general gist of this entire series. So, of course, there is one thing. This is kind of a little bit of like a controversial topic when it comes to the system space community, but I just want to like kind of clear it off, get it off the table right away.
Okay.
So, the lead off question in terms of that is, what is your favorite color?
I'm sorry, what?
What is your favorite
Um,
color?
um, like pastel purple. I like very soft colors.
Yeah, I can get down with that actually. I like a bit of a more deep violet, closer to the shade of magenta. So yeah. Anyways, that's just the question that I do at the beginning of every episode. That was the big, amazing, controversial question right there.
So your podcast is called Normal Conversations with Normal People.
Right, and it
But
begins
so
with the
far,
it,
you've had internet anime cultists on it.
and also one guy who does music and one girl who was most likely jailbait, who does ASMR.
Oh,
So I mean, hey,
well then if she does ASMR, then yeah, probably.
yeah, yeah. I shouldn't. Yeah, probably shouldn't diss my
Well,
guests here, but yeah, basically.
I
Um,
gotta listen to those episodes.
you haven't seen them?
No, I haven't.
Oh, okay then.
I've only seen the one you did with Lyra, Naz, and
Yes.
that other
Actually,
loser.
should we dedicate this one to Naz? Should we?
We could,
We
yeah,
could.
yeah.
I guess I should probably wait to see how the conversation goes first, lest we say anything that he would like otherwise not approve of if he were with us, of course. But
Okay.
well, anyway, um, all of with that stuff aside, let's say for a second this is as a part of the system space conversation series. This is another question that I want to lead off with, which is if you were to meet somebody, right, and they knew nothing about system space, and you were tasked with telling them what it is, what would you say to that person?
I was tasked with telling them what?
What system space is?
Um, I guess I would just direct them to the wiki. That's got all the info they need, right? Is the wiki still up?
No, the wiki is down. It is.
What?
It's been
Oh,
down ever
probably.
since the site went down. Let me.
But we have it on like the way back, right?
Oh shit! You know what? You're right about that. We probably. I didn't really think about that.
Yeah. I visited the original site on the way back, and I'm pretty sure I could still get to the compendium.
Let me just mute this tab. Let me see here. Go. All right. Let's see here. Invalid or no? Oh, no wonder I wasn't searching archived websites.
This is a great podcast.
Yeah. So far, I'm just doing something that nobody listening will be able to see. So yes, the System Space Wiki is available on the Wayback Machine. There are two snapshots. One on July 9th, 2019, one on April 11th, 2019, which should be back when... Yep, okay, so yeah.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah, yeah. So I would show them the wiki. But if I had to surmise it into one sentence, it's God, I don't know. Like it's easy to just say anime suicide cult, but we're not really that. That's like a meme.
Right, that is the meme answer that some people would say, but
I I usually just describe it as my comfy little dark corner of the internet.
that's
The
a good
place
answer.
I go to that no one else knows about or anything like that. And it's sort of a respite.
Yeah, yeah, that's a good answer. I mean, only problem being that the community is scattered once again, especially after the website was taken down mid 2019.
Yeah, but there's open dialogue between the splinters, and I don't think anyone has ill will except for, fucking Initiate.
Yeah, initially, I don't know what their deal is. It's just a thing, I guess.
Uh, every online community is gonna have its rival community.
Right. Um, yeah, I mean, like, that dates back to pretty much, any ancient history.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
I mean, like, hell, like,
Well,
Judaism, subset of, uh, Babylonian, not Babylonian. Yeah,
I
Babylonian
mean,
paganism. Judaism is, it derives from Babylonian polytheism. Yahweh
yeah,
was like some pseudo Babylonian god, and then eventually, like, I don't know why I'm talking about this.
I mean, you could even take it back to before literature, like when it was like humans were just these indigenous tribes. There was still rival tribes, despite everyone being human, despite everyone being hungry. People find ways to dislike each other.
Humans and Neanderthals. Killing of the Neanderthals. That was the first genocide, and and we didn't even have to do anything. They just kind of did it themselves.
Yeah, they fucked up.
Good job, Neanderthals. Rest in peace. 1976 to
Yeah,
1976.
you really fucking nailed that one.
Great, great. Ugh.
Evolutionary fucking shitbags. Fuck Neanderthals.
Neanderthals. More like, uh,
Neanderthals.
oof, you got him on that one, buddy boy. Damn. You sure showed
Fuck
that extinct race
Neanderthals.
of subhumans. Literal subhumans, actually. I never really thought about that.
uh, have you seen this insane fucking VR shit of the woman, like, hanging out with her dead daughter?
Oh my god. I think I. No, I don't know what you're talking about.
Oh my god, it's horrifying. It's horrifying. There's a clip circulating on Twitter of this mother with a dead daughter playing fucking VR.
VR
And she's
chat?
got these. No, it's not VR
Okay.
chat. It's like it's its own thing. It's got these like sensory gloves. I think that's supposed to make it feel like you're touching something.
Oh my god,
And
that
she's
is.
like, and she's in the VR space with her like a program of her deceased daughter, and she's like touching her face, and like it's so creepy.
Dude, that
It
is
is
fucking weird.
not only is that creepy as shit, it is an extremely unhealthy way to deal with loss.
I agree with you on that one. That is definitely not a good way to deal with loss. Oh god.
Like that can't be
It's.
fucking good for anybody.
Well, I mean, I don't think.
It's disturbing.
I don't think escapism in general is good for anyone, really,
Well, there's
In moderation.
healthy.
But.
Yeah, there's healthy like stuff that you enjoy,
Hmm. And
but
and then there's a level of like trying to actually
fucking
escape the real world.
making dead people in a VR program. It's so fucked up.
I see dead people.
Oh, I can't get over it.
It's
It's
like
so fucked. And
Sixth Sense, the VR simulation.
it's like a Black Mirror episode, right?
Oh god.
Oh,
Oh, is that the new Twilight Zone that everybody's harping on about? That
yeah, yeah.
is it like the Twilight Zone or is it like a different thing?
it's like the Twilight Zone in the sense that it's like each episode is its own individual little spooky story,
Okay.
but it's not like Twilight Zone in the sense that every story has to have the focus on technology and its effects on
Mm,
humans. So like Twilight Zone may have like 5 or 6 episodes about that, but there's also an episode about an old guy obsessing over a grandfather clock.
was that Twilight Zone or was that Black Mirror?
That was Twilight Zone. Twilight Zone, there's an episode where this old man has this grandfather clock, and he believes that when it stops ticking, he'll die.
Huh. Yeah, and I'm only really familiar with like the first couple of seasons of the Twilight Zone, like the ones from the 70s. Like
Uh,
I remember like the first Twilight Zone
yeah,
episode, like the very first Twilight Zone episode is I still think is the scariest one, where there's this guy wandering through this town where there's nobody there throughout the entire episode, but he keeps on
well,
thinking that there's people because there are stuff that's set up throughout the whole town, right? That only a person would set up. And then like at the end of it, it turns out that he was in an isolation chamber, and they were like, "Oh yeah, you went for like, I think, I think it might have been like
geez.
6 months in an isolation chamber, when a trip around the moon is supposed to take like 4 or 5 months."
Mm,
And it was in preparation for a moon trip. And there was another
that's nuts.
episode that I remember when you were talking about the old men and the grandfather clock. At first, I thought you were talking about this one where there's an old man who goes to a casino, right? And he gets addicted to like the slot machine. But the thing is that the machine keeps on visiting him, like, and it says its name. I distinctly remember the way the slot machine said his name, because like it's a sound that you could never get out of your head. It's like this grating mechanical noise, like Frank, sorry, Franklin, Franklin. But it's like really, really mechanical, not robot, mechanical.
Franklin? Yeah,
Yeah.
well,
And I don't remember exactly what happens, but like he ends up sinking all of his money into there, and I think he also like I could be very, very, very wrong about this, but he also like put his wife's soul into the machine and lost. I don't know. I'm probably
oh
wrong about that,
god.
but if I wrote that episode, that's what I would have done. He puts his wife's soul in there and loses yet again.
Mm. Well, if there's one thing to learn from all this, don't hang out with your dead kids in virtual reality.
Damn
It's fucked
straight.
up.
That is,
It's fucked up.
yeah, Black Mirror episode. You're right about that. Oof.
God, like, it almost reminds. Have you ever watched Tim and Eric?
I think so. Is that the one with
The one with Tim and Eric.
No, no, no. I know, but I'm trying to think of like what they do because it's a comedy thing. I think I don't know.
Yeah, it's sort of like an absurdist, not really abstract, avant-garde, I guess. Very
Huh.
weird sense. It's sort of a sketch comedy show, but they have this fake commercial for
Oh, yes, yes. I know what you're talking about now.
uploading your yeah your conscious into this like
Yeah.
virtual space, and it just talks to your relatives in your place.
That's fucking weird.
It's fucking
I like the
oh,
part. I like the one clip where he's just like, "Boo, got you, scared you, scared you."
sushi.
That
I
that's
love
really
Dr. Steve Brule.
yeah. Actually, I always thought that it would be a really cool premise that somebody uploads their own consciousness, not to a database, but to the entire internet itself. I mean, think about it. Like in your mind inside of inside of like a system or something like that, it would just kind of exist there. Sure, it would be immortal, but I don't think it even touches like the grace of godhood that somebody would have if their consciousness was just uploaded to the entire internet itself. Because that could
I
potentially open a door to all
I would be
kinds of just, ooh, you know?
I would be fine with it if I retained my human consciousness. Yeah, you know what I mean?
I think I know.
Like
Yeah.
if it was like Wreck-It Ralph 2, where the internet's like
Oh
it's
God.
like a city, and
No,
I'm just
that's not
walking
what I meant.
around,
That is
and
not
I'm
what I
like,
meant.
hey, there's Twitter over there, and over there's eBay, and over there's Sonic the Hedgehog.
I was thinking more like your mind absorbs the internet and you become this sort of all-knowing thing.
Oh,
Like,
hmm.
have you ever seen? Do you know? Are you familiar
You
with
mean
dark matter?
just like getting all the information in your brain.
Yeah, like,
Interesting.
are you familiar with Dark Matter 2525?
Nope.
Well, he has this series called Power Corrupts, and in the series, it's basically this ethics test that takes place at a university, right? And in this
Hmm.
ethics test, uh, this takes place like far in the future, but in this ethics test, they put these people, the students, they put their minds into a simulation where they believe that they are God, so they have the ability to like basically create this world and then rule over it um, within a span of like eons, even though in real time it's only like probably an hour. Uh, but in Power Corrupts, the way that one of the characters, that the main antagonist breaks out of his simulation is via uploading his consciousness to not the internet itself, but the Internet of Things, right? Where like first it's uploaded to a robot, who then which then uploads it into this server run by the university, and then uploaded to the internet, so that he can basically control everything at his whim, like as he wants to.
That's fucky. Whoa.
Yeah, I always like as soon as I saw that, I thought to myself, how has nobody thought of this before? I mean, they probably have. Maybe dark matter just got inspiration from something that already did that, but I don't really. I'm not really aware of anything else that actually goes with the concept of just taking somebody's consciousness and just putting it online so that it's this omnipotent sort of force behind technology.
Would you do that?
Um,
Would you want to control the internet
I'm not sure
with
if I'd
your
want to
mind?
control it.
But then we could finally get rid of Reddit forever.
Oh shit, you got me on that one.
Wipe it out.
Oh my god! Oh my god! I can finally get 8kun to accept the Systemspace board that I submitted.
Oh, Jesus.
Well, I
Did,
mean, the
did he?
Systemspace boards are down, right? So something's gotta. There has to be some sort of
Yeah.
replacement. So yeah, I submitted a Systemspace board to 8kun, but so far, like after a week, they have not approved it.
I don't even know what 8kun is.
Okay, you know 8chan?
Nope.
Okay, do you know 4chan?
Yeah.
So after some sort of, I guess, moderation scourge took place on 4chan, people decided to migrate to 8chan, which was made to be a more open platform, right?
Hmm.
And on 8chan, you could, create your own board. So literally thousands of boards were created on 8chan. But of course, they still have like the standard like B and A, and I think there is a wallpaper. There's only
And your
one
board needs
wallpapers channel.
and your board needs to go through a approval process.
Well, not when 8kun was a thing. When 8kun was a thing, you just make the board and then you're done. I'm sorry, 8chan. When 8chan was a thing, you just make the board and then you put it up and then you're done. But with 8kun, here's the story behind 8kun. You know how journalists are retarded?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
journalists thought that 8kun. I'm not making this up. They thought that. I'm sorry, 8chan. God, I'm still. I gotten used to 8kun too quickly.
Come on, you're supposed to be a weeaboo.
Shut up. Anyway, I think they thought that 8chan was dedicated to white supremacy, even though it was just a couple of retards on poll who were being a little bit too loud.
So basically, what journalists think of 4chan
Yeah,
now.
basically. It was just a couple retards on poll were taking too much noise and they had to ruin it for everyone. Uh,
Hmm.
so yeah, and journalists thought like, oh my god, look at these 5 people on poll. They must represent the entire website. Um, so yeah, that happened, and 8chan had to be shut down, and then they rebranded themselves as 8kun. So
The
yeah.
famous hacker known as
Oh
4chan.
god, don't even get me started on that. Who is this 4chan?
I was watching some news video where they were. It was so weird. I think 4chan or somebody gave them false acronyms that people use on the internet.
Oh my god, no.
And so there's this news program of the woman going beware for these acronyms in your child's chat rooms. ILT means I love traps. And it's just ridiculous how disconnected all journalistic media
Oh my
is
god.
from humanity.
It's yeah. Well, anyways, yeah, a couple of journalists came in because some retards on poll were making too much noise.
You
8chan got
fuck
shut
all.
down, and then 8kun was brought up, and now, whenever there's an 8kun post, every single 8kun post on every single board um, has this disclaimer at the bottom, right? Saying that,
Yeah.
this post does not express the thoughts of the 8kun administrators. Because apparently people need to have that spelled out to them now. I don't understand. I just don't get it. How
No,
are
it's
people?
dumb.
How are people this dense?
It's because they don't give a fuck. They don't really give a fuck about their job. They're like, oh, I'll write the article and make the money. You know,
Yeah.
being a journalist you really gotta be like an artist in that you need that personal drive to
Yeah. And
create.
when you introduce when you put it into like a business perspective, then you have to sacrifice integrity for the sake of money.
Yeah, especially when you're working for a publisher.
Oh yeah, that's for sure.
Like if I worked for Vice or something, I would no doubt just half-ass
Oh, if I worked for
every article I
Vice,
wrote.
if
You
I
know, actually,
worked
oh, go ahead.
okay, if I worked for Vice, I would write 5 articles a day about some celebrity's asshole and what I think it might smell like, and then I'd take the rest of the day snorting cocaine off of somebody's ass.
You
That's
know
what I
who's
would do if I worked
disconnected
for
as
Vice.
shit? Fucking College Humor.
Oh, Jesus Christ, don't get me
You
started
remember
on.
College Humor? I think they're still a thing.
Remember when they were cool? My favorite.
Yeah, back when they were in college, now it's a bunch of old men.
It's office humor now.
Office Humor. It
Okay,
really is.
okay,
It
please.
actually is.
I see that comment on every single college humor video now, and it's I don't know. Part of me
Oh,
dies a
really?
little bit because it's like repeated so many times, but another part of me, is just like, haha, you're losing fans.
College Humor had a sick-ass animated series that I watched when I was a very little kid called Clocksuckers.
I do not
I
remember
loved
that.
it. Oh, so funny. To me, I was a kid. I haven't watched it recently. Maybe it doesn't hold up.
I remember my favorite college humor video to this day is the Grammar Nazi. Have you seen that one?
Like forever ago.
Oh
I
my
don't even
god.
remember.
Okay, so it's this so it takes place in Nazi Germany, right? And
Yeah.
there is a grammar Nazi who's looking for like Jews, right? So he
Right.
goes to this guy's house, knocks on his door. He's like, "Have you been aware of any Jews in this household?" And the guy's like, "I haven't seen no Jews. No." "Ah, so you have seen some Jews, yes?" No Jews." "Ah, yes, I'm sorry. I was confused by the double negative." And they go back and forth. But no, the best part is at the end where the Nazis just like, so, when you are making a list, do you put a comma before the word and, or do you not put the comma there? And then it like the video cuts to the floorboards, and underneath the floor you hear this woman. It depends on if you're using the Oxford comma. And so the Nazi, like, he just looks right at the floorboards. He aims his gun for it, and he says, "Hiding under the floorboards, I have finally found you." And then the guy who owns the house, he's like, "Wait, were you hiding under the floorboards, or was she?" A dangling participle. A dangling participle. And then the grammar Nazi, he just shoots himself right in the head.
Jesus.
All because of a dangling participle.
You know who had really good skits?
Who?
Whitest Kids You Know. Whitest Kids... Have you ever seen Whitest Kids You Know?
No. I've never heard of that.
My god. Dude, it's all on YouTube. It was good stuff, man. That, and if you've got Hulu, there's a show called The State, which I also really liked. It was, a bunch of people that would go on to make Reno 911 that had a little sketch comedy show. I can't remember if it was Comedy Central or MTV.
Probably Comedy Central.
Probably.
Because I don't have any standard. I don't have any standard for MTV making anything funny. Not after Jackass.
Networks don't do what they're supposed to fucking do anymore.
Tell me about it.
I hate Animal Planet now.
Okay,
when I was a kid, Animal Planet was the shit. Every time I turned on Animal Planet, there'd be some dope fucking animals on it. And now it's a bunch of fucking dumb humans.
It's like
dealing with like it's like they're dealing with domestic shit like cats and dogs. There's a fucking wolf in the neighborhood.
Remember River Monsters? I don't know if that's still on. You ever see that?
I don't think so either.
Maybe it was on Discovery. Let me look it up.
Even that was a little interesting though. But yeah, even Discovery Channel, fucking mountain monsters, goddamn ghost adventures. What is this bullshit? Ghost Adventures is Discovery, right?
Ghost Adventures? Is that Discovery? Oh, okay, yeah. So River Monsters is on Animal Planet, and oh my god, I used to love that one. I think they stopped it in 2017. Or at least that's when the last season was, 2017. That's
shows like River Monsters and
like, oh my god, I love that.
Steve Irwin.
Steve Irwin, the dude. I just like,
and shit like.
For once in my life, this is gonna sound strange, but I don't think I've ever seen an actual nature documentary on TV. Like, I've seen the videos, right, and I've seen the comedy TV shows where they're doing parodies of it. It's like, oh, and here we have the rare banana slug. But I don't think I've ever actually seen one on TV,
It's because no one gives a fuck anymore. On Animal Planet, that used to be all they showed. But at some point, the programming stopped being about educating and started being about entertaining. So instead of fucking Steve Irwin, going up to some dangerous as fuck animal and going, look, this thing's deal. It has this because it does this, and there's this and that. It's fucking Mountain Monsters where it's 5 fat fucking hillbillies with guns going in the woods going, we're out here hunting a fucking werewolf, and I swear to God, he got Jeff.
I remember seeing on Animal Planet, there was this show about people who live in houseboats. People who live in houseboats. It had nothing at all to do with Animal Planet. Nothing at all. Just people who live on houseboats.
Dude, the new logo for Animal Planet is something like surprisingly human or some shit like that.
Yes, that is their tagline.
Oh, what is it?
Like, yeah, no shit, it's surprisingly human. You call it Animal Planet, and it's nothing but people.
Is it motto, I guess?
No, there's slogan.
Oh, now it's wilder is better.
Alright, because I'm looking at surprisingly human right here.
There is, surprisingly human.
Oh, I know, they just rebranded with a new logo. Okay, well, let's see. That might be one of the dumbest logos I've ever seen.
Are you looking at the one with the sideways M?
No, I'm looking at their most recent logo is just a blue elephant, but he's leaping for
Yeah,
some reason. I don't understand that.
it looks like shit. It looks like shit.
It used to be an elephant reaching up for this like earth, and that was like, I mean, it wasn't anything amazing, but it was still something significant, you know? I'm still
That's
gonna remember that logo for even longer than I'm gonna remember the sideways M, and especially longer than I'm gonna see this jumping elephant.
that is like. First of all, in the video, you should put up the logo at this point because it's
Yeah,
just
I
all we're
know.
talking about.
Well,
But
at this point, people could just look it up for themselves if they don't get it, because I'm too lazy to actually edit the podcast. It's an
yeah,
hour. It's an hour of conversation. I'm not gonna edit that.
use your goddamn resources, people, and look at this retarded fucking leaping, barely recognizable elephant. You know what it looks like? It looks like the logo for like a visionary establishment, like a
No,
place where you buy glasses.
you know what it looks like? You know what it looks
What?
like? So imagine the PETA logo,
Yeah.
but instead of a rabbit, it's an elephant.
Hold on, I gotta look at the PETA
That's what they
logo.
did. It's the PETA logo, but with an
Oh my
elephant.
god!
It's.
Oh my god, that's literally what it is!
I can't.
That's
I
literally
can't.
what it is! That's actually what it is! Oh my god!
I can't.
Nobody likes
I
PETA!
can't. Like, I was looking at this Animal Planet thing, and I was like, huh, something about this seems a little bit familiar. Now I know.
Literally the PETA logo, but it's an elephant.
The color scheme is, I mean, it's not the exact same, but it's white and blue.
It's jumping in the exact same way. Sci-fi or sci-fi now looks like God. Oh, it looks like like a gaming network logo. It's like I don't know.
It does, but to be quite honest with you, I don't really have much of a problem with that. I mean, it's sci-fi; they can do whatever the hell they want.
It's better than the last one. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, that is
The
true. The
purple,
last one was
the
just
purple
sci-fi in a
font.
funny font.
Yeah, it just looked like TLC or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
but at least this one's unique. But
It's very true.
sci-fi's also fucking up. They used to play like Star Trek and shit, and now it's like terrible indie movies and wrestling. It's bizarre.
I remember when, like, on the internet and with graphic design, everything was like 3D and like it was all chromy and shit. And
Yeah, yeah.
everybody I know says that they hated that, but you know what? I disagree. I
I
like the
liked
early
it.
2000s web design and graphic design where everything was chrome and it was 3D, you
Oh,
know?
I adore it. I
Oh,
adore it.
that was just
I
great.
miss it.
But now it's,
Everything is so sterilized now.
yeah, it's the exact opposite now. Everything is so minimalist and I mean, don't get me wrong, there's nothing wrong with
It's easy on
excuse
the
me.
senses, but it's no fun.
Exactly. It's no fun at all. Uh,
Fucking Google.
well, on the bright side, web design is starting to fiddle around with transparent images. So I'm honestly kind of curious to see how that goes.
What do you mean?
Like, you know, they did that thing where they changed all profile images to circles, right? But now, like a lot
Who,
of,
Google?
yeah, like Google, for example, right? But if you think about the YouTube time bar or whatever it's called, that used to be a solid thing, but now it's like a gradient and it
Oh
becomes
my god.
transparent at the top. So I'm kind of interested to see where it goes when, you know, it starts to fiddle around with transparency and gradients. Like, who knows? Maybe we'll end up back to that Chrome 3D stuff.
That's fuck. You know what? I never noticed that. How that's like some Mandela effect shit. I never noticed how on just about every platform and service, your profile picture
Is a
went from
circle.
a box to a circle. Oh my
Yeah.
god.
I
I
don't.
never even noticed it.
I don't really understand that either. I mean, I'm not gonna say that boxes are superior because, to be quite honest, I don't really care. But I just, I
Well, if you've
just,
read,
I wonder
sorry,
why.
but if you've read have you read that Pepsi logo manifest about
No.
their logo? It like a circle is. It's bizarre how much of a psychological effect a circle and a square have. But it does have a psychological effect. And circles, since it's a more naturally occurring shape, is more pleasing to people, and it's more like inoffensive and simple, which is what they're going for these days with all these minimalist designs, simple and inoffensive.
Okay, I'm looking at this CBS News article about it, and it's like Pepsi put like theoretical physicists on this logo.
Oh yeah, no, the Pepsi logo has science behind it proving that it is the best logo ever made.
Well, I disagree. I still think that it looked better as a yin yang.
The yin yang.
Yeah, not a yin yang, but like the red and blue, and it looked kind of like a yin yang. It had a
I
curl.
mean, it still kind of does.
Yeah, but not as much as it did before. Honestly, I think that the yin yang is a much better emblem than the Pepsi logo. Not just because of its familiarity, but the deep symbolism rooted behind it. That, like, if you were to spin a yin yang, it'd be like the yin is constantly pursuing the yang pursues the yin, and at their core, right, they're both fueled by their opposite. As the yin pursues yang, it's still powered at its core by yang. As the yang pursues yin, it's still powered at its core by yin. I don't know. Maybe I'm just high
Well,
or something.
yeah, it's all about a balance there, not being one without the other. But Pepsi's gone as far as just like tweaking like inches of it. Just like tweaking it ever so slightly to subliminally please you. And the reason it's the colors they have is because we associate red, white, and blue with our patriotism.
Hold on a
There's
minute.
a great Neil Cicerega song about it.
Really, Neil Cicerega did it. Did a
He
song
made a
about it.
song. He did a song about the Pepsi logo. Yeah,
Is there a single thing that Neil Cicerega doesn't make into a song? I'm genuinely
he's a
curious.
he's a goddamn genius.
I remember seeing Brody Quest, right? And then I came back to it like 10 years later and I was like, oh shit, this was Neil
Hell yeah,
Cicerega? Because I never bothered to look at who uploaded it.
dude. What, no matter what part of your life you got on the internet, you were exposed to Neil Cicerega. Whether you
Oh,
watch
yeah.
Brody Quest, fucking The Ultimate Showdown, uh,
Wonderwall. That Wonderwall
Harry,
edit, that SFM, the one I'm
Harry
talking
Potter
about.
Puppet Pals. Everyone quoted Harry Potter Puppet Pals in my school.
Oh, man.
Everyone.
It's Neil is everywhere, but people just don't know his name.
He's a meme lord. He's
Until
a
you just scratch a little bit and then you just. Like, I'm imagining somebody just like discovering Neil Cicerega, and then all of a sudden, like 2 days later, they have this whole cork board of like pins and red string, and they're like, okay, so he recorded this here, but how then was this a hit at the exact same time when he was working on this song when this song was published? It doesn't make sense.
He's a madman, and he stays busy.
I think Neil might
Oh,
actually be multiple people.
it makes sense. Dinosaur Orchestra. Oh,
It makes sense, but it's also incredibly stupid, and please don't take that seriously.
I mean, I don't know, man.
If Neil Cicerega is still doing his stuff in like 30 years in the future, then I'm gonna start thinking that it's somebody else. Or, I'm sorry, multiple people. 40 years in the future, 50 years in the future, I'm gonna start thinking that it's other people, right?
yeah, I can see where that's coming from. I'm trying to look at his YouTube channel, see what he's done recently.
Like how Pink Floyd is technically still a thing, except, they're not. And Cafe Tacuba, they're technically still a thing, but they're not.
But we did a thing. He did a Beyond Belief fact or fiction parody 7 months ago.
Jesus shit.
Oh, I love that show. Have you ever seen that show, Beyond Belief?
No, I've never seen it.
Dude, it is the best. It is like...
Okay, so they're still not active. They were active up until 2014, but my point about Pink Floyd is still that, you know, when they were together most recently, they still weren't really together.
Yeah,
Half their
I see
members
a lot of
died.
older bands just kind of trudging their shit together. I was actually looking forward to the new System of a Down album, and then they canceled it because they couldn't get along. So I was like, alright, cool.
I mean, at this point, it's just kind of something you have to just take that for granted. It's like, all right,
Doesn't Neil C. Ray have, like, kids now?
dude, he has to.
What do you mean he has to?
Well, I mean, think about it this way, right? Charismatic musician, been making popular music for the entire internet ever since the beginning of the internet.
Let me see. Oh, it doesn't say anything about it on his wiki. What? Trapezoid? Deportaz?
Please tell me those are not the names of his kids.
No, no, those are other online aliases he went by.
Oh, okay.
This is my daughter, Trapezoid. My son, Deportaz.
Oh my god, I would... shit.
Alright, so we covered... Oh, I mean, do you remember...
The 21st night of September? Yes, I do.
Don't you... This video will get demonetized.
Sorry.
Citizens listening. Do you remember when memes... When just viral videos were called memes?
Right. I mean, they still are.
No, dude, memes are like, now it's like, it has to be an image. The image is the meme.
Okay, I guess so, yeah. Yeah, I guess you're right.
Like when you say, like, oh, let me see a meme, someone will throw you up some... God, they're so fucking weird.
It's either an
They've gone...
image or like a vine, or not a vine, a video that lasts like a few seconds.
Yeah.
Oh, Pink
Yeah,
Floyd
but
is a
it's...
featured article on Wikipedia.
It's feeling... Hey,
Sorry, keep going, continue.
Star Wars Kid was a meme.
Oh my god, Star Wars Kid.
South Park even made an episode calling them memes. I'm pretty sure.
I'm gonna be completely honest with you. My first exposure to Star Wars Kid was when iDubbbz visited him. That was like, I honestly had never heard of that guy before that.
That iDubbbz visited him?
Yeah, iDubbbz visited the Star Wars Kid.
When? What?
What? You didn't see about... Are you subscribed to iDubbbz on YouTube, or...
Yeah, but I know he visited that, fatty guy.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, that's not the Star Wars Kid.
I thought it was like, it was Star Wars something, I think.
Well, yeah, he's like obsessed with Star Wars, but Star Wars Kid was in 2002 video of some guy in like a theater space with like a broom handle just fucking... he was just swinging it around going, meow, meow. Have you never seen
Okay,
Star Wars Kid?
I'm sorry, I'm unfamiliar with that.
Oh my god. Oh, peak. I'm sending you this link.
Oh, Jesus. Okay, fine.
Star Wars Kid. Oh, man. South Park even made an episode about him. He was seen... Oh, 35 million views. Jesus Christ.
My god, that's a lot of views.
That's almost as much as Spider-Man and Elsa farting into balloons.
And almost as much as pregnant Elsa farting into balloons, too.
Almost as much as Joker and Spider-Man smelling Elsa's pregnant farts.
But not as many views as Spider-Man eating the placenta of pregnant Elsa's baby.
that's not real. Is that that's not real.
What? And
That can't be
Spider-Man
real.
sniffing Elsa farts isn't real? Okay, well, you know what? That probably is. That definitely
What
is
is
real.
dude? Those videos are so fucked. But everyone knows about those. I'm pretty sure they were removed from
Like,
YouTube.
how depraved do you have to be to not only think that that's a good idea to make, not only think that that's something to show to kids, but to actually have kids and make that content for your kids and for other kids whose
It's
parents allow those kids to watch that stuff. I mean, am I the only person who thinks that that stuff is
they
like
don't allow it. They just don't give a fuck. They
it's
just
like
put the kid on YouTube on
it's
kid
ins-
mode
it's like
without
those
even bothering.
that's not a YouTube that's not a video for YouTube, right? That's a YouTube for like, X Hamster or RedTube.
You
It's
know what? I'm gonna
that's
tell
not for
you,
YouTube.
it is a video for YouTube. It is because YouTube used to be a wild fucking west. Okay,
Okay.
but now they're trying to be this network. So there's like, oh, there's YouTube that you have to follow by certain rules. You can't do this and that. And now there's kids YouTube where we just have kids channels, but it's not up to the YouTube staff's discretion at which channels are kids. I think when you make a channel, you just hit a checkbox that says, yeah, this channel's for kids.
Yeah, thanks to the COPPA shenanigans that for whatever. Whose idea was
I'm
that?
talking about pre-COPPA. Like, when Google bought YouTube, shit started changing drastically and immediately.
That was the decline. That was the decline of YouTube right there.
Yeah, corporate buyout. It became now it's a sterilized fucking shithole. It's a fucking prospect that people go to make money, and it's a fine one.
And the worst
But
part
now there's no website out there that's like old YouTube
and the
where you
worst
can just
part
upload
about it,
whatever you want.
the
Go
worst part
ahead.
about it is that you can't complain about it without somebody calling you a commie. Fucking libertarians, I swear to God. They will find any reason to bitch about somebody who has the audacity to criticize a company for being a company.
I think anyone that gives a fuck about politics, especially, dude, I hate election season so
Oh,
much.
Jesus. You know what pisses me off? This year, I'm old enough
What?
to vote, but it's during an election where there's literally no candidate worth voting for. Like, what the hell do you expect me to do?
That's every election.
Yeah, I mean,
Oh,
yeah, that is. Well, actually, no, it's not every election, because there is still Vermin Supreme.
yes!
Okay, you know what? I'm putting it down right now.
German
Okay, you
Supreme
know what? I don't care.
2020.
I don't care what people say. If, and I mean this, if there actually is no candidate that I deem to be acceptable, then I will vote for Vermin Supreme. Why? Because I will do it out of the cynicism that I hold in my heart for politics. I will do it to say, no, I won't support a bipartisan government, and
Yeah,
furthermore, I'm not just going to not vote. Oh no, I'm going to vote for somebody who's running as a joke.
well, yeah, you'll be saying that, but the problem is no one's gonna hear you say it. You'll just be screaming into a void.
I think screaming into a void is better than holding it in and just letting it consume you from the inside out.
Uh, I suppose. I just want
That's
to get the fuck out.
that's what I do every day, man. I wake up, I walk over to the void, and I just scream.
I just want to get out of America.
Please
It's
take me
like
away from here.
anyone with half a brain can see that we're reaching a boiling point.
Okay, so Vermin Supreme is again running for president in 2020 to the surprise of no one. This time as
Good.
a libertarian, he won the party's first contest. Wait, hold on. He won the party's first contest in New Hampshire on February 11th. So you mean to tell me that he's actually going to be officially like endorsed by the Libertarian Party? Because if that's the case,
Man,
if that's the
I,
case, oh my
normally I
god.
would say no, but fucking Donald Trump becoming president is the last thing I would have ever predicted. So honestly, it honestly goes to show literally anything's possible. Anything's possible. It's possible Vermin Supreme might get much farther than he did. I doubt he'll ever be president, but it's possible he gets farther. He might even get even farther if he took that boot off his head, but if he did, he wouldn't be Vermin Supreme.
Hey, listen to this one. Many have cited Vermin Supreme's presidential campaign as harmful to the credibility or image of the Libertarian Party. No. You know what's really harmful to the credibility or image of the Libertarian Party? The fact that every single Libertarian goes out there and votes for a Republican. That is harmful to their credibility.
So, I forget what a libertarian, laissez-faire political philosophy advocating only minimal state intervention and more
Look, all that you need to know is that they're Republicans who call themselves libertarians. That's all you need to know. That's that's basically it.
So they're like anarchists that are afraid to be anarchists.
Oh my god,
Like,
no, I wish.
I don't want no fucking government meddling in my affairs, except that, I need some money, and I still need to buy gas, and I still need to buy these goods, and have internet.
The
Wipe
four...
it all out. The only way things are going to change is with fire.
Yeah. There are the four political...
Don't quote me on that.
Sorry, I have a list, or I have a little phrase to remember what the four worst political ideologies are. Commies, Annies, and Libbies. Communists, anarchists, and Libbies is used for both libertarians and liberals, not only because their names are similar, but also because they're so wildly different that I love to piss them off by lumping them right next to each other.
You said 4.
Yeah.
You listed 3.
No. Commies, Annies, and Libbies. Communists, anarchists, libertarians, and liberals.
Oh.
I put libertarians and liberals next to each other, not only because their names are similar, but because they hate each other, so putting them together is just makes a lot of friction, and it's a lot of fun to watch.
I can see the romanticism in anarchy, because that would just be us reverting back to our most basic human instincts.
Yeah, that's the thing.
Survival and territory.
Anarchy would just be sending us back to the Dark Ages. There would be no technological progress or anything like that.
But, maybe the planet would be doing a lot better?
Yeah, sure, the planet would be better, but honestly, who cares about the planet?
Either way, if we burned everything to the ground and established anarchy, there would still be some fucking guy that has a shit ton of land and he's got the biggest gang, and maybe it'll establish into a government, and it'll all start with like, oh, okay, well, there's all of us in this gang. Who's going to be our civil servant to keep track of all the shit?
Yeah,
that's how government starts.
Anarchy always reverts back into government. Like, as soon as anarchy is born, it dies and is replaced with tribalism, which then becomes, a government.
Mad Max.
Which then just goes on and on until eventually you're back to where you started. So what was the point of all this? You just wasted our time.
Well, for the people in the moment, they would get to experience true, legitimate freedom.
Yes, but it's just a waste of humanity's time, Like, I'm not talking, waste of time as in, oh, I waited an hour and you never showed up. No, I'm talking waste of time oh, we had to rebuild the entirety of human civilization over the course of 2,000 more years because some dumb fucks thought it would be a good idea to erase it.
I don't think it would take 2,000... I don't think it would take another 2,000 years.
Less than that,
especially if you still have... Well, yeah, because we've already got these pre-built resources and knowledge. I think it would take a lot less. I'd give it... if the government was totally abolished and everyone went into complete anarchy, I'd give it like 200, 250 years before civilization is like enacted nationwide.
Yeah, that sounds about right to me.
But there would be wars.
Oh yeah, there would be
Oh, there
wars.
could be wars. And then
Li-
whoever won them would be correct. They'd be the government. Fuck.
Well, I mean, come on, who's gonna win? A couple of guys who don't like government, or an organized society that's funded by people who live within it?
It's called the American Revolution.
Okay, you got me on that one, but the colonists actually did want to establish a government, just not one that, you know, taxed their goddamn tea.
Right, well that's the point of it, is that I don't want to live by your rules. I want everyone to live by my rules.
Yeah, that's politics in a nutshell.
Like, would life, like, would everything, I think about this a lot. What would it be like if the American Revolution never happened? Not if we lost it, if it just never happened and we were part of the UK. It'd be fine, right? We'd be
It
okay.
would be fine. I mean, I don't know how we'd go, like, as far as technology is, right? But
And we probably,
I'm
I
willing to
can't
bet that
imagine
everything would
why
be more
we
or less the same.
probably we'd be on Japan's level.
Yeah,
Those little
probably.
isolationist techie bastards.
I mean, honestly, we probably would have been able to form our own nation, like, by some sort of peaceful means, because I guarantee you that after, like, after there are so many people in one area, right, that is much larger than their de facto homeland, those people are probably gonna just, like, not even see the UK as a legitimate force or power, right? The UK can just
Yeah.
say, all right, do this and that, and then the people will say, no, nothing the UK can do about it, because I'm honestly, I'm talking out of my ass right now. I have no clue what I'm talking about.
That's fine. But I mean, honestly, I'm willing to bet more than a few participants of the American Revolution were just straight up anarchists that didn't want any government.
I think there were a couple of them, yeah.
I don't think all of them had the grand idea of we're gonna go to this new land and make a name for ourselves.
Yeah,
Well, no,
basically.
it wasn't a new land. It was America, continental U.S., but it's a bunch of fucking redcoats walking around.
Red coats. Hold on a second. There's something I was gonna say.
You ever think about no matter where you're standing at any given point in time in history, someone probably died there?
Someone or some animal, yeah,
Ugh.
yeah, that's weird. Think about this, your body is a graveyard for cells.
I don't want to think about the people that lived before I was born, and I definitely don't want to think about the people that are going to live after I die.
Dude, half of your body is already dead. You just haven't shed those cells off yet.
Stop!
Oh god.
Shut up! That's not true!
We are zombies. We are zombies.
Oh, God.
But you know what else?
What?
We're rats. We're rats. We're the rats. We feast at night. We stalk at night. We're the rats. I'm the giant rat that makes all of the rules. I don't remember how the rest of it goes.
That reference was lost on me.
It was the Rat movie by Germa.
Oh, you know! The Rat movie!
By Germa.
What are you talking
You've
about?
never seen? Okay, you know what? To be fair, it's a little bit obscure. I honestly haven't. I didn't know about it until just yesterday, but
I've seen two rat movies, okay? And that's Ratatouille and Ratatouille.
Ratatouille. Oh my god, you actually watched that?
Ratatouille, yeah, I did.
No,
Oh,
Ratatouille.
and Ratatouille.
You actually watched that?
Yeah.
Oh god, have mercy on your soul. All right, this is the video that I'm talking about here.
What the fuck?
Rat movie mystery of the Mayan treasure.
Oh wait, this is that
We're rats.
Twitch streamer.
We're the rats.
I've seen this guy.
We pray at night. We stalk at night. We're the rats. I'm the giant rat that makes all of the rules. Let's see what kind of troll we
Okay,
can get.
alright, I'm not gonna watch it and just leave dead air here. Fucking Twitch is another thing. Like,
Yeah.
there were so many streaming websites before Twitch.
Half of them were porn.
No, not even. There was literally just there was a livestream.com, there was Xstream. Maybe you could put porn on them. But what made Twitch, this is my theory.
Your
Oh,
game
for fuck's
theory?
sakes. I did not mute my phone before recording. Okay.
Alright.
What the fuck was I talking about? My theory is that why Twitch blew up and why YouTube kind of overshadowed Newgrounds was it pays its users. If a user is popular enough, there's capability of making money.
Plus, YouTube is a lot more well, I guess you can't really say this in the age of Google, but YouTube is more user-friendly, right? The interface is a lot more navigable than Newgrounds.
I disagree.
Well, I mean, think about it this way. Newgrounds has like a bunch of different categories, right? Games,
they're all at the
art,
top.
audio. But the thing is, like, you know, you go, like, to a newcomer to Newgrounds, right? That's going to be a little bit overwhelming.
I don't agree. I think Newgrounds UI is very friendly, but if you go to YouTube for a newcomer, you're shoved with like 50 different channels, but it's always going to be about political shit. It's top news, recommended, trending, YouTube TV, latest YouTube posts. I'm just going down the line of categories.
Somebody made a lewd image of a plastic spoon.
How dare they?
I'm sorry, I'm looking at Newgrounds here, but somebody made a lewd image of a plastic spoon.
Shout out the artist.
Gerf.
Girth? Whoa.
Gerf. Gerph. You know, the guy who just...
Oh shit! I love that dude.
I don't know, man. Gerf... I mean, he's okay.
Dude, Girth is great.
I mean, he's funny, but...
What do you mean
aside
he's
from
funny?
being funny, it's... I don't know.
What do you mean he's funny? He draws porn.
Exactly. You can draw that stuff and be funny. I mean...
Well, yeah, and his webcomic is a little, comedic, but the main crux of it is porn, and he draws some good porn. Oh, there it is.
I mean, I don't
There's the
know.
spoon. I see it.
I disagree. I don't think it really touches the basis of what of my personal tastes. Give me one moment here.
I fucked the shit out of that spoon. Hell yeah. Oh, Jeddo, he says he doesn't edit the podcast, but he's totally gonna edit this part out. Hit her in the mouth!
Sorry, my sister's going off to bed about now.
I told you to hit her in the mouth.
You did? I didn't hear you because I put my headphones off.
Yeah, no, I opened a whole dialogue with the audience. Anyway, I adore Girth's art. It's a style that very much appeals to me.
Oh yeah, I like the art style, but the content is just something that I don't know. I don't know.
I'm Jeddo said I don't like porn.
Well, I mean, you know, I'm very picky about it, you know.
Alright, so then so what do you like then, fucker, huh?
Femdom. Exclusively.
Right, but what if it's a drawing? Or are you talking like, or do you just watch like POV videos?
Oh no, I mean like drawings are fine. Like I prefer drawings.
Did you say femdom?
Yes, I did.
It's femdom, isn't it? 'Cause she's a
Okay, long O, short O,
dominant.
doesn't matter, dude.
Femdom sounds like a scientific term.
But you know what I'm saying here.
Suffered
You know my point.
bruising to her femdom.
Obligatory rat
Yeah.
moment.
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
Obligatory rat moment.
Rats. We're rats.
Why is there a
We're
Nickelodeon
the
logo on that
rats. We pray.
fucking... Hold on.
The what?
I have to look it up. I have to look up Nickelodeon Spoon. Because now I don't know what I'm looking at.
You don't get the reference. You know, imagine not getting an R34 reference, so you need to actually look up the...
Oh, I do! I remember! Yeah, that's where she's from. I remember now. I remember. It was that whack-ass fucking breakfast commercial.
That is very strange.
Oh, I can't believe someone made porn of that. That's probably the only porn that exists of that. Grats.
I found one of
Enforcing Rule 34.
the cool S, or the super S, or whatever it's called.
Oh, yeah, the one all the middle schoolers drew.
Yeah, did I I think... I'm not sure if I showed it to you, but hold on. I think it was Ducey S, or something like that. Yeah. Obviously, this is not something I'm going to be showing the viewers. I'm just going to be posting this in the... let me see if I can
You
find
could
it.
show them the spoon. You're not gonna show the audience shit, because you don't even edit your podcast. You lazy bitch.
Yeah, you know why I don't edit the podcast? Because it's an hour of content, and honestly, I don't feel like sifting through that.
What, like every other podcast creator?
Yeah, basically. Alright, let's see if I can... I'm the giant rat that makes all of the rules. Okay, yeah, basically, so here's the...
Oh, speaking of Newgrounds.
Here it is.
Whoa. Whoa.
Yeah. That's,
Why
something
does it
alright.
have...
Who drew this one? Total Gary, I don't know, okay.
It'd be funnier if it didn't have arms and legs.
Oh god, that'd be even more hilarious.
God damn. Oh god, that's so fucking weird.
Oh, and here's something of... The featured R34 of the featured image of the day on rule34.pahil.net is coronavirus.
Give it to me.
Alright.
Give it to me. I need.
Like, this is the part of the podcast where, like, it starts to get into, like, alright, is this stuff that really needs to be... Is this stuff that really should be in the podcast, or is this just unnecessary?
It's like a bat person drinking a Corona.
Drinking Corona.
Oh god.
Coronavirus. Well, it's not a bat person. It's... Okay, yes, it is a bat person. Never mind. I was gonna
They
say
didn't
it's...
say bat wings.
I was gonna say it was a demon, but never mind. That's... Because it came from people eating bat soup. So, yeah.
It came from... Fucking right now the most... I read that, like, where it started was at a seafood marketplace that was a criminal hub for trading foreign animals. Or illegal animals. Like fucking wombats and shit.
Nice.
Animal smuggling. In a goddamn marketplace. First of all, China has, like, absolutely no rules about how it prepares or stores its food.
Oh god.
Which is why I never want to go there. It's a fucking smoggy shithole where people just eat off the fucking ground.
I don't think anybody wants to go to China, honestly.
what was it? Like curd oil. God, like they're just killing themselves by being a fucking wasteland of industrialism to the
Yeah.
point where just its citizens are just these dead-eyed old fucking people sucking down raw, like half-developed fetus eggs.
Oh God.
And they're like, yeah, this is normal. This is Chinese cuisine.
This is normal food. This is normal food. Placenta is normal food.
Have you heard about that Chinese famine?
Because of communism.
No, not because of communism.
That was the one where they started like. That was where they started like eating dogs and cats and stuff, right?
I don't know. I'm talking about the one in 1958 where Mao.
That was communist China. Yeah.
Oh yeah, for sure. 1958. I mean, fucking hardly call it communist. Let's call it what it is. It's a dictatorship. It's a complete totalitarian fucking system. Anyway.
So it's communist.
Well, yeah.
You
I'm
can
not
have a
gonna be one of those
communist
people
dictatorship.
that's like,
I mean, that's
I'm not gonna be one of those people that's like, well, it's not real communism because I don't give a fuck. Communism can't work. No matter what you do, not everyone's gonna be happy.
Hey man,
Anyway.
you're preaching to the choir.
Listen to this. So, in 1958, is it Emperor Mao? God King Mao?
Mao. It's just Mao.
Alright, Mao Zedong.
Mao Zedong.
He's fucking hanging out, and he looks up and he sees these sparrows, like the bird.
Oh my God.
You know where I'm going with this?
I think so, but keep going.
And he's like, I'm really fucking sick of looking at these sparrows all the time. And they're eating all the grain. So in 1958, he ordered all Chinese people to fucking take up arms and go kill sparrows. Fucking, I don't know how many sparrows were killed, but they fucked up the environment beyond repair. Almost beyond repair. I'm sure they're still suffering from it because when you fuck up... Dude, 45 million people died. 45 million people in 1958!
Yo, remember when China...
That's the modern world. Dude, fucking people in China are wearing like suits and driving cars and just fucking falling over dead. And in our country, fucking Sinatra's swinging on the stage.
Yeah,
Man,
basically.
45 million people in 3 years! The Nazis couldn't do that.
I mean, I don't know. Give him another, maybe if they didn't attack Soviet Union, they could have done better.
Better?
Could done better.
I don't know if better is the word.
Could done better.
You could have done better at being evil.
Yeah, you could have done better at, only committing the most widely recognized atrocity against humanity. You could have done a little bit better at doing that, If you just didn't go after the commies.
Like, can you fucking imagine? And then there was no, like, revolt after that. He was still the leader. 45, dude, if fucking 45 million Americans died because of an order a leader gave, we'd be storming the gates.
Oh, well, no, we wouldn't be storming the gates because pretty much all of us would be dead. Isn't that like half our population?
Something like that.
Hold on a second.
Well, no, the American population is a couple billion, I think.
No, I don't think it's any more than 1 billion.
No, it's not even 1 billion, it's 327.2 million as of 2018. And that's just people on record.
And how many people in China died?
45 million.
45 million. So yeah, that's like gonna put a pretty big dent in our. I mean,
Yeah,
in China they have, in China they do have a couple billion people. So I mean, about
do they
like
really?
almost 50. Yeah,
Oh god.
I think it's the highest populated country in the world. I believe. I could be
I
wrong.
thought that was India.
Oh, you know, maybe
1.386 billion.
I think India is the most densely populated. I'm not sure. Let me see.
Mm, they're close. They're almost tied.
So
They're
right
almost
now
tied.
it's 1.435 billion in China,
They both
and
have over a billion.
what? Yeah, they actually have the same number of citizens. Not the exact same, but pretty much the same.
Yeah, they're both like in the 1.3 billion. Yeah, 1.3 billion. But China's just a lot bigger. God. Have you seen that video
Oh God.
of taken in India? And it's like a guy recording with his phone, this guy just standing on the sidewalk shitting. He's like taking a
Oh
shit.
my God.
And the guy recording's just like, no, no, why? Why? No,
I
why
think I've
shit?
seen that. I think I actually have seen that.
Why shit? No.
Oh no.
uh, how much time do we have left on this blasted podcast?
I mean, we've been going on for an hour and 16 minutes.
Oh wow, alright.
We can end
So
it
what have
now.
we learned today?
We can end it like at any time at all, like right now. I mean, honestly,
I,
I get a little bit cranky if it goes any longer than an hour and 30 minutes. And we're
I
at an hour
mean,
17.
yeah, we could wrap it up. We want to keep it digestible, you know.
Yep, yep. Digestible, at the very least.
So what did we learn today, Genos?
Today we learned that Suki is a communist leader who wants for all pigeons to die, and
Oh,
that India is China.
we were going to. Do you want to talk about Naz real quick?
Oh, that's yes, actually, that's probably a good idea.
Let's end it on a really depressing note.
Yeah, let's end this. All right. All right. A few words for Naz. Do you want to start off, or?
Um, I don't know how much I'm allowed to say.
Well, how
Yeah,
about
I don't.
I'll start off. Let's see here. Nazashi. He was a great friend. When it comes to my relationship with him, there's only one regret that I have, and it's that I couldn't have talked to him more. Um, we we didn't know each other as well as we could, but regardless,
Well,
he always made my day whenever he talked to me. And we
yeah,
were,
you had the pleasure of recording an episode with him.
yes, I did. It's actually, I still can't get over the fact that he died like a couple of days after that last episode. I mean, you know?
Yeah, I did not know him as well, but I think it's dreadful when any human being loses their life, and I hate putting R.I.P. on anything because it just feels like a Halloween decoration.
Right.
But he was a part of us, and so now it's definitely a hole in the community. One of the many that our friends who have passed away leave these unfillable holes, and
Nazashi among others.
yeah, it's just a goddamn shame.
Well,
Well, good night, everybody.
this is to Nazashi. May we meet again in life, LFE, or whatever lies beyond. Should we never meet at all, then I will still say that the time I've spent with you, Nazashi, was some of the best time I've had.
It was an absolute privilege, considering that you're a human and all the humans that you could possibly know in the world. It was a privilege knowing you.
Amen. Alright, well, for the final... To wrap this all up, I forgot to do this in the previous episode, which makes me feel really guilty, because Nazashi was in that previous episode, and I forgot to ask him this question, but to wrap it all up, what is the one message that you want to tell everybody out there? The dreamers, the losers, the mothers, the children, everyone under the sun. What is your message for them?
Are you ready?
Oh yes, I am ready.
Brush your teeth. Eat your vegetables. Take care of yourself.
Amen.
Because that's all that matters.
Taking care of yourself?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Fuck your loved ones. No.
No, don't. Hold on a second there. You're going too far away.
Fuck your loved ones. Fuck them. Like, in the ass. With your cock. Or pussy.
Strap on.
No, I don't know.
Unless you have, unless you have an abnormally large clitoris, then, you know, you just do what you can with that. Anyways,
yeah.
ladies and gentlemen, this was Migrant number 3197 from the Systemspace community.
Follow me on YouTube, www.youtube.com/GameGrumps.
Okay, yes, and be sure to visit my website, www.com, the link will be in the description, as well as my SoundCloud page, www.org. Please remember my Tumblr page, www.web. As well as Systemspace, please be sure to visit Systemspace at www.pornhub.com.
Fuck you, Animal Planet.
Fuck Animal Planet. Alright, goodbye, everybody.